Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be covering a macro bottom prediction for Bitcoin by analyzing quarterly candles. We have just closed the quarter candle about an hour ago, so I thought it would be relevant to give an update on the long term and really just provide a unique look that these quarterly candles offer. So if you're new to the channel and you want to show some support, please leave a like and subscribe. So these quarterly candles tend to help us with the macro outlook because they have a way of cleaning up a lot of the short-term noise, right? It cleans up a lot of that intraday price action and really just produces this clean long-term trend that we can see. I also have this red moving average here. This is the 20 average, and considering how there are 4 quarters in a year, this is going to be the 5-year average. So you can see how currently we are right on the 5-year average, and really there's only 2 other times in history where a candle has interacted with this. And if we go back, we can see first the first quarter in January of 2020, that March capitulation is ultimately what brought us back to this level. We can also see how this third quarter in 2015. So really, it's pretty interesting to note how this candle body is basically opening right on this. And if we are to have a red quarter, that will mean we are going to be closing below this, which is pretty much uncharted territory for Bitcoin, seeing as how we've never been below the 5-year average. So definitely will be interesting to see how we close up this next quarter. And I think that it's going to be a very important quarter close going into the end of this year, because if we are starting to close below this moving average, it really has a disruption in this longer term trend, right? We've never been below this macro, trend line, this macro moving average. And basically that would kind of maybe highlight a different structure coming up with Bitcoin over the next few years. And ultimately, I think that, losing this moving average isn't just like a technical thing. It's kind of a psychological thing where we start to think, oh, the 5-year trend is starting to decline. Obviously, that's much further out, and we do have to wait and see going into this next close here, but it will be a very important close coming up in the next 3 months. So do keep an eye out on this, keep watch, and let's just see where this goes. So one of the targets I have actually for this, some sort of bottom prediction, is maybe a retest of the quarter close the last market cycle peak. So as you can see, this corresponds to around $13,888. And if I just sort of extend this out here, you can see how we're pretty much approaching that. And there's quite the potential that we have a candle body retesting this level. And that would not be a bad thing. In fact, if we do have a wick all the way down to this level and we wick back up and basically produce this long shadow, that would be actually pretty bullish. So kind of what I'm looking at here is this last cycle here in 2011, where we basically had this pretty massive red candle taking us down 68%, and then this really long lower shadow. And obviously this was much different market conditions back then, and it was a lot different in terms of Bitcoin and the overall crypto market. But if we were to have some sort of similar price action where we have this next candle come all the way down, retest this level, and then close up similar to where it opened, that would actually be extremely bullish in my opinion, because A, it would kind of provide this spring, this failed bear breakdown, and it would also have, kind of this natural bottom looking pattern, because typically this is kind of indicative of some sort of capitulation where we do have a low set in place and a definitive area where buyers are starting to step in and get front run because they know they're not going to be retesting this low. So if we do have something similar to that, where we have a candle wick all the way down to this $14,000 region and then quickly come back above it and reclaim this average, then I'm going to be very bullish. And I think this is probably a likely scenario going into the next few months, because I think we are going to be seeing some sort of bottom in Bitcoin's price action where we have a wick down to some of these lower levels, such as this $14,000 level as support, and then a wick back up, kind of reclaiming the $20,000 region. So this is definitely something I'm watching out for. I think this is a pretty likely scenario for some sort of bottom prediction. And in terms of timing, I don't exactly know if it is going to be this quarter. We might have we might have a green candle, a small green candle taking us up a little bit, and then that could happen on the next quarterly candle, or it could be this one. So either way, my prediction is sometime towards the end of this year, whether it be this quarter or the next one. I'm really not sure, but I don't think it matters entirely. I do think that anywhere around this $14,000 region will ultimately be looked back upon as a pretty phenomenal region to accumulate. And if we're just going back to prior market cycles and looking at some of these drawdowns, if we go to the 2013 one, we can see how this drawdown took us around 86% down. And then if we go to the next cycle in October 2017, taking us down to October 2018, this was 84%. So we have 86%, 84%, and then reaching down to that level. If we were to go down to say $14,000, that would ultimately bring us down about 80%. So that would be consistent with this sort of diminishing decline to the downside. And I think ultimately we shouldn't really expect as far of a downside, considering how the bull market didn't take us as far up. So you can see how we had this massive blow off top in the 2017 cycle, ultimately putting in this mania phase, this euphoria peak here. We really didn't see that this time around, right? We had sort of this rounding off pattern, sort of the distribution phase, mainly across Bitcoin, the altcoins, and Ethereum, where we didn't see a lot of blow off tops. Certainly some altcoins a little bit smaller did, but Bitcoin itself did not experience anything to the magnitude of the euphoria in the prior cycles. So you could expect that the bears won't expect the magnitude of euphoria to the downside. And really, it's just kind of going to show you the diminishing volatility in Bitcoin as the market cap trends up over time. So really, I am looking towards this quarter or next quarter to be some sort of timing bottom, and that would correspond to, again, around this $14,000 region, mainly because this was the massive resistance the prior quarters in the 2017 cycle. And we also had this wick here, this rejection in April 2019, that quarter, which ultimately corresponded to this breakout level, forming this new all-time high. So I am definitely watching this level at $14,000 and sometime within this or next quarter. So that's the end of my long-term Bitcoin price bottom prediction. I really hope you guys did enjoy this. If you have any video recommendations, comments, suggestions, or feedback, please do leave those below. I really do appreciate those, and I read all your comments. But anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy, and as always, I will see you in the next one.